Here we go again. Hey, everybody. My name is John Wires. I'm with MAREI PartnerCast here, and we're on episode 19. And we have a returning guest. I guess we're 19 episodes in, so we can have returning guests. Stephanie Parris, thanks for joining us with Guardian Accounting Services. How's it going today?
Going well. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Wanted to get you back on because obviously the tax world and the financial world is pretty fluid right now. If you guys haven't seen the first video, you can go search through the history and you'll get a good download of information that is with the SBA loans and details on that. So we're going to just chat about the updates she's been keeping up with, the changes, the extensions, stuff like that. Go ahead and give everybody an introduction just for the new people, and then let's head into some updates, and we'll just go off some questions off there.
Sure. So I'm Stephanie Parris with Guardian Accounting Services, and we provide outsourced accounting services for small businesses. And truthfully, I'm on this mission to help small business owners, and my niche market is construction real estate space, just to make sure they have all the information. There's a lot going on with the COVID stuff, and I just want to make sure we keep everybody informed and try to leverage as much opportunity as we can.
Awesome. So where do you want to start with as far as updates? Obviously a lot of people been getting SBA loans, and maybe we could start with the extension to apply.
Yeah, that's probably what I would start with.
Okay.
If you didn't get in the first round of the PPP loans, that application deadline was June 30th. But it was just announced this morning, and I just got notification through one of the lenders that I've assisted with that the funds that were earmarked already, they were already set aside, they just weren't used. That application window has opened back up. So if you didn't get in on the first round, if maybe you weren't sure if you were eligible, definitely pursue that. It doesn't hurt to check it out to see if you can and kind of take advantage of what's going on, with the assistance that's there, because it has impacted everybody.
Okay. Sounds good. And then you mentioned also that there's changes on some of the current loans that are out there. Is that correct?
That is correct. So anything after any loans that were in place before the president signed on June 5th, as I just confirmed that date, then any of those loans, you have the repayment term is still that 2 years if you have to repay. If your loan docs were signed after the 5th or after, then you have 5 years to repay for anything that would need to be repaid. So that extended the amount of time substantially for any of the new incoming loans. Then the original, you had 8 weeks to use it from the day you were funded, and now they've extended that to 24 weeks or December 31st, whichever comes sooner. So you have a little more time. So that was really posing a problem for people who are seasonal. A lot of our construction folks, a lot of our investors, there's some seasonality to it. So it was really expanding that out for them. You also were supposed to have your full-time employees or your employee count back to normal by June 30th. And again, because of that seasonality, they did extend that to December 31st as well. So that's put a lot of that out and given you more option and flexibility. The other big part was that you had to use those funds for 75% for payroll for it to be forgivable. They knocked that down to 60, but there's a big but in there. If you go below that 60, none of the loans forgivable. So, and I've not seen anybody go, honestly, I've not seen anybody go below it. I've not even seen anybody close to it, but just keep that in mind that if you're paying your rent and your utilities and that's heavier than your payroll, you don't toe that line too close.
Right. Yeah. So it's still in play that if you have 60% above, looks like now, they will forgive it. Is that correct? 100%. Or is that still up in there? I know it was maybe, based on some more legalese that came out?
So yeah, as of June 16th, the most recent revision for the application for forgiveness, your loan can be 100% forgivable. But if you got that economic injury disaster loan, that grant that was up to $10,000, that amount won't be forgivable in your PPP. So if you got the $10,000 from that, then you'll have to pay back $10,000 of the PPP. Now you can pay that back over that period of the loan, but you will have to pay it back.
And this might be a question maybe for the banks. I assume they'll have guidance on what they need to see as far as, your bookkeeping or your statements to confirm that, you paid it out in payroll. Or when do they verify all this information?
That's a good question. So as your supporting packet that you submit with your forgiveness application, we have the PPP tracker that we've shared out across the country that people are using. You do have to have the bank statements, payroll reports, utility bills to show the periods that were covered so that you can show all that support with that packet. The bank will do an initial review, but then they pass that on to the SBA. And so the SBA will confirm or deny, as they go through, but every single application will eventually be reviewed over the next 3 years. So they may approve it today, but then when they review it in 3 or 4 years, they may say, wait a minute.
Right.
We don't really approve all this. So there's still that little window of uncertainty.
And this whole SBA loan thing is an interesting thing especially for people who are self-employed, because a lot of people that may have like S or C Corp may have not taken payroll before, so they weren't eligible for this. So now, I guess, the reason why they didn't, because they didn't want to deal with the taxes, and they were just maybe taken as payout or distribution. But now there was a benefit to it. Is there some guidance to, well, there is some guidance. Obviously, you don't want to probably take too much payroll, but are owners paying themselves more to get through the amount they need to before a certain time?
I haven't seen anybody doing that.
Okay.
Because especially now, it was on the fence before in that 8-week window. I had some folks that were on the fence, but because they've expanded it out so far, there's really not a need.
Got you. Okay.
Yeah.
Because because at first, I had some friends that were calculating, hey, if I need to get rid of all this to be forgiven, people are getting a raise, I guess, temporarily. Yeah. So that'll be interesting to see. But yeah, since you have so much time, you could be reasonable there.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely the intent behind the amendment to it, is to extend that on and make it more usable. The restaurants weren't even open yet, in the restaurant space, so that 8 weeks was gonna. What good was that going to do them? So it has really helped out tremendously across the board. And it's still, though, that tax impact that we kind of discussed before is still there. So as you are looking at, you do the tax planning this year as well, because as you're getting that income, that grant money, and you can't take the expenses to offset it. So you've just increased your gross profit or your net profit. So you do want to make sure that you talk to your CPA and make sure they're aware of what you got so they can help you tax plan, because I'd sure hate for people to, one of the things we've really tried to keep from happening is they'll go ahead and pay themselves and even pay extra. But then, oh gosh, your business now has to recognize another $100,000 of revenue, which is going to flow to you as an S Corp member. So we want to make sure people are prepared.
Aside from that, have you been seeing any other issues arise from you dealing with SBA loans or this whole COVID thing? Have any tips out there for people to stay on track or to be aware of? Aside from stuff you talked about.
No, the big thing, one of the biggest questions I've been asked repeatedly over the last month is for anybody who got that economic injury disaster loan, the EIDL, was how they can use those funds because it wasn't as explicit as the PPP. And I mean, the main thing on that one is you can't pay down a bunch of debt with it. And that's what a lot of people were wanting to do because that's a 3.75% interest versus most of your business debt's probably more. But they, that's the big thing that we've really had to watch. Otherwise, not much has really shifted in that space.
I heard those were a little bit more difficult to get, right? Because you have to prove some pretty dramatic hardship from last year's.
Yes.
Okay.
And they're driven off of credit.
Okay.
There's several factors that they look at more than the paycheck protection.
Okay. Have you heard, I don't know if we talked about this before. Did we talk a little bit about any type of unemployment funds, or did we not touch too much on those? I don't remember.
We did a little bit. Yeah, okay. We did because
I don't know if those are going through okay to people now, the extra 600, and because I know they're really backed up and people weren't getting unemployment.
Yeah, it looks like, I mean, they're still inundated, they're still backlogged, but people are getting it. And there were a bunch, probably within a couple of weeks of when we met last time, people were inundated with their funds hitting their bank. So yes, it was a long stretch, and then all of a sudden they were getting them. So they're back on track.
Do you know much about, or have you heard word? I mean, everyone's kind of heard word a little bit about future stimulus. Have you heard the same, and do you think it's going to come about?
They, I think it would be around 4, I believe is what they're calling it. So, we try to keep a pulse on it, obviously, because it does impact what I do and all my clients, but that's kind of gone back and forth. So I don't know that anything's going to happen. To be honest with you, I mean, we're getting so close into election season too. I'll be shocked if something passes between now and then. But then again, the numbers are going back up. So with that, if they have to enact more shutdown and stuff, I expect that they will do something again.
I've heard something about if they do another stimulus, it would be at even a lower cap. So I heard something about if you make 40K or less or something like that of income, you may be eligible for it. But that's just stuff I just heard. Just putting it out there because I'm sure everybody be interested if they just sent it out again on the same criteria, but it'd probably be a little tougher criteria. I'm sure that you would get funds at this point.
Yeah. And that has definitely been the topic, which is interesting because one of the things that they're talking about is that so many people have been on the unemployment. And so that's slated to end this month, the end of the month. And so that's kind of why they were talking about that lower threshold because, theoretically those would be more of the people on unemployment because they're, more the people who are with those more disposable jobs, if you will.
As far as your clients or obviously you're involved in the community, have people been hanging in there for the most part? Even with the loan help, I know with the elongated, the mask laws and people not willing to bear the waters yet. Do the businesses you see out there, still having a pretty tough time coming back? I would assume so. I don't think anyone's, ready to explode the roof off on earnings and have tons of customers back. But I was just seeing, is it pretty shaky out there still?
It is across the country even because we have clients outside of Kansas City area as well. And it's across the country. And it's really, the thing with that too is people are so apprehensive. They want to be cautious and be concerned about their customers, but obviously want to get back into, making money. And so that it's a fine balance. it's definitely shaky across the board. One of the things I've noticed pick up is just making sure we have the resources available for individuals and business owners. They may not know some of the resources that are out there. So just trying to keep everybody in the know because it's uncharted waters, of course, and it doesn't sound like it's going to open up full force anytime soon.
Yeah. It's definitely a shaky line. I know people are ready to get back at it, obviously, and employ their full efforts, but it seems like there's always, one step forward, two steps back type thing. But
Yeah.
it'll happen, hopefully sooner than later. What other projects have you been working on right now that you want to maybe tell people about? And then maybe let's close with your contact info.
Sure, absolutely. Actually, one of the things that I've put together, I've been teaching on Saturdays, Square One Small Business Services on Facebook, gone through just helping people, for-profit businesses know what grants are out there and how to get them. But then that's kind of morphed into, as we've gotten further along, that there's so many resources available in this area even for in the construction space, not just your small business owners that are restaurant owners. And so one of the things we've worked on is I'm putting together a small business success summit to just make sure that all the resources are in one place so people can kind of tune in. Obviously, it's all virtual, but that way they can tune in and see what is available, through AltCap and Square One and just some of the other resources here local. Okay. So that's coming in August.
Do you have a date?
I'm looking at August 14th.
August 14th. Okay.
Yeah. So, and I expect it'll take most of the day. Right now, I think we have 6 speakers from some local resources that, they're just here to serve and people don't know they're here.
Oh, so, wow. Okay.
Yeah, it'll be really good. A really good opportunity to just bring people together. And they just talked about it last week on Channel 41's news channel when they were talking about the daycares and just people don't know what's available. And so that's kind of, like I said, it's kind of how it all came about. So.
And how do they keep up to date with the, is it going to be like a Zoom type setup? Okay. So yeah, go ahead and with obviously your contact information, again, email, number, and then where they can go. I'm sure it's probably on your Facebook page. I don't know if you have run a newsletter, but.
Yep, and actually our newsletter goes out again next week. Okay. But so definitely if you want in on our newsletter, sign up on our website at guardianaccountingservices.com. There is a website for the Small Business Success Summit. It's smallbusinesssuccesssummit.com. Just so that people can go to, you'll think of that before you may think of Guardian or, some of the other resources. So that's actually in the process of getting built. You can go, it's under construction. There's very limited information, but as we continue to add people, it's getting added to every day. So that's there. You can reach us at our, I'm all over Facebook, and Guardian is as well. And then you can also, email us if you just want to email info@guardianaccountingservices.com. It'll come to me and we'll make sure we get you pointed the right direction and help in any way we can.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate it for coming on again. I'm sure this is not coming to an end anytime soon. So I'll hit you up here sometime in the future for another update. Everyone definitely check out Stephanie's page. She's always updating everyone in the community with the latest info. Super helpful stuff because somebody's got to do the dirty work and stay up to it, and it's tough to keep up to date. So we really appreciate it, all the members out there. And then before I close too, just reminding everyone, if you're not a MAREI member or anything like that, definitely check out the website, marei.org/membership. If you want to become, a partner, it's $4.99 a year, $135 a quarter. So just getting that in there. Thanks again, Stephanie. Appreciate it. And we'll have you back on in the future. And thanks again. And hopefully everyone's hanging in there during these times.
Absolutely. If you guys need anything, if anything comes up and you have questions, reach out.
Awesome. All right.
All
Thanks,
right.
Stephanie. We'll let you get back to your day.
All
Appreciate
right.
it.
Thanks. You take
Bye.
care.
Yep. Bye.